Busia ye mama kwaba sonko so the Bagana politics avenue so Busia mama ye mbura ye nsemu. Busia eye flood na na se nsu yira esi wakra. Nam nsu a etoto eye June mu June July mu nsu a etoto Busia enam nsu a ayiri afa akra efa baabi. Busia kofa nsem bebre abre eye aban no. Busia eye panels bi atena se oma bobo nsem no amon hu se eye former eye MPP. And I say MPP government and I say former land minister any MPP ababa umia ne krofo omo ton sa sinibi e de ma eye private sector so mo ton sa sinibi e de ma amanfo edan no mo asisi be bia e se nsuo ne fa ono kan bi ama nsuo no ye de anya kwan amfa be bia e so fa itina nsuo no de ase ayiri biem ebusia mo me nkɔ ne nkotie nsema panels ne ekafa e ba e de aka beto am so
Ghanaian, you should be worried when there is flood. One that will be captured as a disaster, which, for all intents and purposes, poses a lot of risk. When there are floods, diseases come up, environmental diseases come up, it affects lives, it affects people's shelter, children cannot go to school and all of that. Now, as a government, I personally hold a view that we shouldn't have been in this position at all as a country. We should not have been here. But we are here partly because our local governance system in terms of structure and in terms of enforcement have been very weak over the years. Number two, generally the relationship between government and land acquisition have not been too good. And so people who own land sell those lands without proper regard to government reservations. So road reservations, waterways, dangerous areas, people just go in and sell land. And by the time central government becomes aware, all these places have been developed. When President Mahama assumed as president, for the first time, one of the outings he did was to visit Ramsar, to visit these waterways.
Yes.
And I was asking myself, why will President go? He went. And I followed him. That was when I got to realize that most of these Ramsar sites have been sold. They have been sold to developers, not by government entities, but by locals.
Landowners.
They've sold the land. I remember one of it, President instructed straight away demolition.
Yes.
And you see, even though the president spoke, the number of calls, people begging. And you see, once somebody goes and developed illegally at a place where he's not supposed to develop, the status of the problem changes from a mere encroachment of a restricted area to a human security problem, where even though you are a government and you have to recover those places, you have regards to human lives there, you have regards to the fact that when you demolish these structures, the emotional sentiments that comes with it, and all of the issues that comes to play. So it's the same as going into an area, deciding to demolish, and actually flood coming to overpass those areas. So for me, I think that we could have done better as a country dealing generally with these floods. The Greater Accra Regional Minister, in the last few weeks, began a vigorous exercise of demolition. And these were people who have built at Ramsar sites, people who have built on waterways, and all of you. Brace. The very people we are trying to save, the very people who will be crying out and saying that, oh, they are demolishing my things, and then we have our brothers sitting on the window. Oh, NDC is just demolishing people's houses. If you check Miracle's his Facebook post,
Wall.
I'm sure that you will find one of him talking about demolition and displacing of people.
You are peddling falsehood.
I haven't seen it. Why?
Because I share very reasonable views on issues.
Okay.
And it doesn't.
And you agree with me on this one?
On local, of course.
You agree that,
I've shared that
because you have been a DC, you agree
I've
that...
said it publicly, even on this platform.
You agree that it's not a political matter?
No, I don't agree that it's not a political. Political responsibility is 80%.
You don't agree that
Political responsibility. Do you want me to give you
a few days ago, he was talking about disaster committee and everything. And
I'm telling you that political responsibility is 80% in the solution.
No problem.
But
so
I agree with you that there's a 20% component.
No,
that has to do.
I didn't apportion.
Yeah, but I have. I'm saying that. So don't apportion anything I haven't said to me.
We can come back to the table trying to play the game.
You're not the one playing, you know.
Responsibility. But I'm saying that President Mahama put up a committee, a disaster management committee headed by the Deputy Chief of Staff. They have reviewed all of these waterways. Okay? There are places that demands vigorous dredging.
When was this revision done?
Well, when we came to power, a committee was set, and that committee was supposed to review all of the flood-prone areas and these dangers. So remember, he talked about helicopter flying around and all of that. That was the purpose. So they identified these areas. All the Ramsar sites were reviewed. I also remember even when the MPP was in power.
So what is the outcome of this review?
No, the outcome is that currently, as we speak, we know the places that have been encroached. Okay? We also know the areas that are supposed to be reserved for waterways and for whatever encroachment that have gone on these areas. Where we are is about what investments are going to go into it to deal with it once and for all. If it's about dredging a certain river or a certain waterway, how much goes into it, how is it going to be done, so that perpetually there won't be room for floods, to go into people's homes.
Why haven't we done that?
We can't do everything in the same day.
No, it's not the same day. You said this committee was put together when you assumed power.
Yeah.
And we are 1 year.
17 months. Yes,
okay.
Power.
So what are we waiting for? Why haven't we been able to do it 1 year, 7 months?
No, but I just told you the demolitions. You've seen some aspect that demands demolition. You've seen DCs in Greater Accra demolition.
At the Ramsar site?
Yes, most of the places.
Within the city, you didn't identify any of it that has to go?
No, there are a lot of demolition exercises going on.
Within
it's not all of it that comes on TV for you to see. There's a vigorous exercise
within the city.
There's a vigorous exercise of demolition. It's not all of it that comes on TV that... So, for example, somebody that knows that where he built is an authorized area and is being demolished, he will not come and tell you, Brace, a journalist, that come and hear his cry. There's only a few of those places that, were highlighted on TV. There are a lot of demolitions ongoing. But I think generally the Minister of Sanitation would then also go into what we call the drainage cleaning, where we're able to clean the drainages and to ensure that water is able to flow. And so for me, I think that we should get to a point where the local government, when you travel elsewhere, when you are building, apart from permitting, the local government structure, the engineers also have a responsibility to check even the type of house that you are building, the drainages that you are supposed to do. In Ghana, that is not the case. People will not even go for permits. And when the assemblies go after them, it becomes a problem. People will not go for permits. In fact, there are places where if you have to build, there are a number of trees that you must plant in your house before you are permitted to build. In terms of structure, what kind of building are you putting in place? All of these things, the local government is empowered to check. But we don't have it here. And suddenly when the crisis hit us, we go back and flipping on the things that we haven't done. For me, that is what I think is the biggest problem. Discipline is, he was talking about 2080. Discipline is 80%, on this matter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me bring in Miracle. Miracle, where do you digress with him?
It's not an issue of digression. It's an issue of he stopping the lamentation and getting the job done. I hear too much lamentation. You see, There's a reason why a country puts its resources and its freedom, let me even put it that way, its freedom and even rights in the hands of a few individuals. It is for you to ensure that you guide the masses and lead them towards the path of prosperity, growth, safety, everything. And so if we have these leaders that we've given them the responsibility, now lamenting to us, it's a problem. Don't intervene. You can make the notes. I made notes. Because you basically did not tell you, and continuously they do that. They have failed to tell the people of this country what their roadmap is in solving flooding in Accra. Clear-cut roadmap. We are in a hopeless situation. You see, this government should not pretend as if they just came into office and all of a sudden they are realizing how Accra is. For Christ's sake, Mustafa, your president, my president, our president has been president before. In fact, one of the most devastating flood disasters this country has seen in its history happened under your presidency during the first time. So you already know the Accra situation. One of the reasons why a lot of Ghanaians went to vote for you and His Excellency John Dramani Mahama was because they felt that you would have learned something with the experience you had from the past. 8 years in opposition, you will come into office with experience. In fact, John Mahama said, His Excellency, and when I say John Mahama, please, let's assume I've said His Excellency. His Excellency said during the campaign period that we want experience. It was one of his mantra. Experience. And a lot of people bought into it. A lot of people. People felt that, you know what, let this man come. Maybe he's learned some lessons. There are things he's picked up that when you come for the first time, you don't get. So people were very hopeful. 1.7 million votes difference speaks a lot.
He's lamenting over the defeat instead of talking about the
Mustafa, don't do that, I beg you. Let's have a very clean. Let's have a very clean.
So let's go to the topic.
No. Let's have a very clean conversation.
Yes, let's do that.
I beg you. Let's have a very clean conversation. 1.7 million is a lot. And so if you come to office on the back of an experience of a city that you have led before, go and read about the June 3rd disaster. This president, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, immediately after the June 3rd disaster, set up a committee, instituted a task force. In fact, he indicated that he is re-engineering Accra. What happened? Assuming you didn't even have enough time to do it, you come back and you are telling me that you are now identifying the city's flood hotspots. A former president that some people believed and voted for you on the back of your experience. You spent 1.5 years out of your few years that you have in office to now identify hotspots. That is where the problem is. The problem we have this morning is that the people who live in Nana Krom and East Legon Hills do not hear from Mustafa Gbande's statement a clear-cut roadmap that from Ashaliboche School Junction to Nana Krom as government director of operations, tell the people what your roadmap is in ensuring that moving forward, when it rains for 30 minutes, they'll be able to get to their homes. That's what they want to hear. Don't come and tell them about how the citizens are building in wrong places, how the citizens are not using the right designs. That is your business, not theirs. A citizen who lives in a neighborhood and has respected all the laws cannot go and enforce spatial planning. Spatial plan implementation lies with you, the government. So if you believe that the only reason why Nana Krom and all the other places are flooding is because of poor spatial planning, that is your job. Why are you telling us? Why are you telling us? Why are you lamenting to us? Your job is to fix it. Indeed, he sits here and he talks about citizens and listen, the person who made flooding in Accra and in Ghana Politica is the president. Have you seen the president's statement when he was in opposition? In fact, he said that he blamed Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo squarely. He said it. He said it's the president of the country's responsibility to fix it. It's on his Facebook wall. It's there. The screenshot is there. I can share it with your production that they put it on the screen. So you knew that as president, your responsibility will be to make sure that when it rains, we are not engulfed with flooding. Okay. You're not telling us anything. See, let me tell you where the problem, the biggest problem is, and Mustafa and co are playing with our lives. Council, immediately you came into office, you put your officers in a chopper and flew all over Accra and flaunted images with bloggers, led by the deputy chief of staff, that he is a chairman of a certain anti-flood task force. They were flying all over with bloggers with cameras, like all the appointees do. I know he doesn't like that blogging thing. But when he says it, they come after him, so he stopped. Then they blogged all over. Everybody was happy. We saw it, It was before the first rain came in under the antenna. I am not saying that overnight you can wake up and there's no flooding. In fact, the way I understand the Accra situation, it's not something that you can get up just overnight and do it. But what we would have expected, Mustafa, is that by now, that committee that you flaunted in our faces would have addressed the country with a plan. Take us serious. Like, that is how you take a serious country. That this is what we saw, and this is our plan. Then the plan is phased. The short term, the medium term, and the long term. Don't play with us. Listen, this is a very serious conversation we have. Don't play with us. You have done nothing like that. If you were able to show us videos whilst we were flying, why are you not able to also tell us on video your plan? Or you are keeping that in your desk? If you have such a report, why are you keeping it in your drawer? So that if I live in a flood-prone area, because I live in a flood-prone area, okay, where I live, I haven't built in a waterway. I live in a planned community by the TDC, planned. Now, I flood because, indeed, there are certain things obstructing the water to where I live. So I don't care about all the lamentations about people building. Get them out. Get it resolved. That's your business. How you make them accept the demolition is your job, not mine. Don't come and tell me. I don't have to go and beg them to leave. You have to do that if that is what will solve the problem. This anti-task force, even as we speak, even this morning, has not even stepped out. Not one of them has stepped out.
Who told you?
No, please. How come we haven't seen it? Have you seen the anti-task force step out?
Who told?
Have you? No, Mustafa, see, let's take this conversation very seriously. You haven't flooded before. I have flooded 3 times. Through no fault of mine. Listen, Kojo, when you flood, the cleaning of flood is like renovating your home. Your life is never the same. So let's take this conversation seriously. We saw them fly the chopper, but when they stepped out to go and deal with flooding issues, we haven't seen them. You and I live on social media. How come I haven't seen them? Show me one picture of the anti-task force out there. None. So where is our faith? That is where the conversation is. That the people who live in Klagon, who floods with 20 minutes of rain, they don't see where the roadmap is. That is all they are saying, that this is a plan. We have A, B. In fact, come and tell us that, listen, in Klagon.
America, as he said earlier, those who are in Klagon, don't they have a responsibility or a duty of care to ensure that once we are building, we are probably also looking at whether there are gutters within the places, so that when it rains, the rain can run.
You see, that is deflection of responsibility, and that's a sign of a weak leader, weak government. You see, let me tell you something, and it's a very important point. Mustafa, don't trivialize it. Let me tell you something. I've told you that where I live, you're not very close to Klagon. If you know the area that I live, very close to Klagon, I live in a well-planned community, planned by government. I haven't built in a waterway. I am flooding. What responsibility are you placing on me? Why are you placing a responsibility on me? I am flooding. I have built in a well-planned, specially planned area. Kojo, why are you placing a responsibility on me? Why? And you are telling me that I am flooding. My solution, the solution that you have for me is that, the people in the area, what do I care about those people who are built in a waterway? In this country, even when your neighbor is building and he's doing something that is wrong, and you make a mistake and go and say it, somebody can even pull a gun and fire you to your head.
Has it not defeated the purposes of
it? Is the responsibility of the government to fix my neighbor that is building a waterway, not mine. So if the government comes back to me that I am flooding and I have done all the right things, you see, I'm talking about the guys, the majority of the citizens who have done the right things. I have done the right thing. Come and give me a solution, and you're saying the citizens. What has it got to do with me that I'm flooding and I have done the right thing? That is where the problem is, Kojo, and we need to get the government to take this seriously, especially for a government that experienced the most devastating flood disaster in the history of this country on June 3rd.
Okay. All right.
Let me explain to you why this
Then
particular
you are landing. So
every flooding,
lawyer.
every flooding. I mean, every government experiences flooding, but I'll tell you why this particular government, especially under John Dramani Mahama, His Excellency, experiences worst form of flooding. It is because if you look at the history of this country, from Jerry John Rawlings, who used to enter gutters himself, to even clean, to Kufuor, to Akufo-Addo, to Atta Mills, you'd realize that before the rain sets in, you will see every serious government putting certain things in place, not with bloggers and cameras on them like the regional minister does. Can you stop? You have a chance. You have a chance. Don't worry. See, I want the conversation to flow. You have a chance. Like I said, everybody has flooded. It was flood under Akufo-Addo. It was flood under Rawlings. It was flood under Atta Mills. But there is a reason why under John Mahama there is massive flooding almost every time and causes havoc because they sit down, do nothing, put cameras on them, showmanship like they did with the chopper. I've explained to you the chopper. You should show me one video of the same anti-tax force who were flying in chopper, which we have the video, when they came to office. One video of them during this disaster period, or 2 weeks to the rain setting in, moving around doing anything in Accra.
Okay.
So they do nothing. Okay. So by the time the rain comes in, they are caught off guard.
Okay.
The desilting has not been done. the cleaning has not been done. The storm drains are choked. And then everybody is outrun. Then we have massive disaster. Then they come back and tell us that it is our fault. That is where the problem is. And what makes it worse for this government, Kojo, what makes it worse for this government is that they do not care.
Okay. All right.
That on the night of flood, when people cannot find places to sleep,
Abusua when the yan sema eye panis ne kafa eye nsu yira eyiri wo Accra ene nsase a omaton ama eye private sector so a omasisi edan esi eye ekwan anase bibia nsuo ni se efa no omasisi dan esi no abusua so subscribe ya no subscribe no haste or no hia ma onua so anya bi the Biba political headline so ane DP aba abedomo yada mase.